Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Jen Riegle. I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I'm the medical director of Integrative Healers Action Network. I'm coming to you live from my house today so that I can talk a little bit about particulate matter and the PM 2.5s, the PM 10s. I think that there's maybe a lot of misunderstanding or confusion, and we've talked about this a lot as IHAN. Just because all of us look around on days where the PMs are really high and see a lot of people outside without masks on. And I get it. I totally get it that it's hard right now. It's hard with COVID. It's hard to have our outside time taken away and to feel like we don't have the freedoms to go and spend time with friends indoors, and also then the freedoms to get outside and play outdoors. And so I totally understand why it's hard, but I want to share a little bit today, just some educational pieces about why I think it's so important to stay indoors and some other things you can do to protect your health when we're looking at particulate matter levels that are high. So first, a little bit about particulate matter. So particulate matter, when you see the PM 2.5s and the PM 10s, the PM 10s are just larger particulate matter. The PM 2.5s are smaller. And in this case, actually, the smaller particulate matter is actually more dangerous than the larger particulate matter. And that's because these particulates are small enough that they can go straight into the lungs and embed themselves in the small parts of the lungs, as well as some of the small ones can actually get through to the bloodstream as well. And so they're entering through your lungs and they're getting into the rest of your body in a lot of cases, or they're really impacting your lungs as well. And, we worry about this for everyone, but especially some of our higher risk groups. So children, babies, especially the elderly, pregnant women, people who already have pre-existing conditions, especially with the lungs or the heart. But everyone is impacted. And so really want to just kind of go through that really quickly. I know that this can be sometimes a little bit off-putting or scary to hear about the health impacts of it, but I do think it's an important educational piece. And I want to spend most of the few minutes, and I'm going to be with you today to just go through ways you can protect yourself and how to be savvy about this. Especially in Sonoma County right now, we're dealing with particulate matter levels that are pretty constantly high at the moment. Thank goodness today is pretty beautiful. It's kind of like, I keep joking, I used to live in Seattle and we would have sun breaks where everyone, when it got sunny out, everyone would drop everything that they were doing, and it was a known acceptable thing to do to just drop everything you were doing inside and go spend time outdoors. I kind of feel like that right now with the good air quality. It's like I want to drop everything I'm doing and go for a hike outside. But a little bit about the particulate matter levels. Some of the things that can do, again, the lungs and the heart are two of the most impacted systems. So it can, of course, worsen asthma. Longer term exposure can also cause lung cancer. Even short-term exposure for people who have heart disease can cause heart attacks. Even short-term exposure can cause hypertension or high blood pressure. Obviously, everyone has probably felt it can cause the stinging and burning in the eyes. Lung and throat irritation kind of irritates that mucosa in there. For pregnant women, we really want to keep them inside and safe. It can cause low birth weight in babies. And poor lung development in kids. So we really want to be careful, especially with those special populations. But like I said, everyone is impacted by the particulate levels being high. And so what can we do about that? First of all, I just want to say, there's going to be times when we're walking to the car, or we have to go and do something, or maybe our job requires that we be in higher particulate level matter. And I, as an ND, I also know there are so many ways we can repair the body. And so if that's you, don't worry, don't fret. I would reach out to an ND or another integrative healthcare provider that knows how to help you relieve some of the pressure and tension in your chest that you might be feeling, or reverse some of the impacts of the particulate matter levels being high for an extended period of time if that's something that you have to do for your job. So the first thing, though, for people who don't have to be exposed, the first thing is the awareness of when it's not actually good particulate levels outside. So the first thing that I do usually is check purple air. So there's also EPA air now and the IQ air. They all have levels that they check. But what I'll tell you is that I've checked a lot over the last month and a half with a meter that we have at our house. This is an IQ air meter. And so we bought this IQ air meter actually for our clinic, and it's come in very handy personally as well. So we use it in our clinic and in our personal life. We keep one at home here right now. And that measures in real time what are the particulate levels in my environment, whether that be I have it in my house or I have it in my car with me, or I put it outside. And when I put it outside, it usually most accurately represents what I see on purple air. What I tend to see on IQ air and EPA air now is that they're often lower than what it actually is reading outside my door. And so I find purple air to be the most accurate app or website where you can go and check your air quality. Beyond that, it is really helpful if you have the capacity to get one of these IQ air meters to have one in your home. Here's the reason. I have been shocked sometimes at the air quality in the places that I'm at. Can't smell it. In a lot of cases, sometimes you can smell the smoke coming through, and it's my first sign to go and check it if something's changed. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't smell it at all. And one of the even more shocking things that I found is that if I don't have air filters running, my air quality inside is actually pretty much the same as what it is outside. Even if everything in my house is closed up, I don't have any air running from the inside, from the outside, I mean, into the inside. If you don't have air filters running in your house that are doing a good job, then a lot of times closing windows is not going to be enough to keep the particulate levels down, which, you know, a little surprising to me just on first thought and notion. When you think about it a little bit more, opening those doors or things coming in through leaks in the house, it tends to, you know, it's really small particulates. And so it makes sense that that could happen. The other thing that I really learned through this fire and having this around all the time, more than I've paid attention to it in other fires, is that there were a lot of places in our house or in our clinic where we thought there was no air coming in, and there was. In our clinic, for example, we turned the air completely off so it wasn't pulling air in from the outside. And we actually had to cover the vents with plastic and tape so that it wasn't still seeping in. Otherwise, we couldn't keep, with some great air purifiers in a, you know, not a large space, we couldn't keep it clean. But as soon as we covered those places, we were able to. And then the other thing is that some of these fans, like our house fan, for example, it says it's circulating air, but if you actually read, some of them have descriptions, it's actually pulling air in from a lot from the outside, or the attic fan will pull air in from the outside. Will just totally ruin the idea of having things closed up in your house and having air filters running as well. So once you get all those things tightened down, it's a lot easier to get those air filters working and making sure that your levels of air are clean inside. So what I like to recommend a HEPA plus carbon air filter. There's ones that we have that I really like that are Vornado. So like tornado with a V. And they have great HEPA filters in them and great carbon filters in them. So it not only takes care of those small little particulates, and that's the job of the HEPA, but it also takes care of toxins that are coming through the filter. And that's cleared out by some of the extra carbon filtering. So those do a really good job. I like them a lot. I find that the small one actually does a great job in like even up to a 300 square foot space. I don't know what they're rated for, but you can check that all and see for your space. And so getting a good air filter is a really good part of it. You probably or may need multiple ones for your house. And then also making sure that you replace the filters really consistently. Right now, they're doing a lot of hard work. And so replacing those air filters as much as some filters will tell you when, so paying attention to that, but also just checking them and replacing them as much as you need to. In the car, you can also get really good air cabin filters, and that tends to help a lot. In my little sedan, it only takes maybe 5 minutes of that circulating air, and you have to turn the circulate, the little button that says circulate instead of pulling from outside. If you run that through your air cabin filter, usually the air will get clean very quickly, as long as your filter is somewhat new and not totally spent. So you can ask your mechanic to replace that as well. The other piece is masks. And so N95 masks or P100s, I really like the VOG masks, and they consistently sell out this time of year, but then they come out with new batches about every week, so you can still get them because they have the N95s in them, and they also have carbon filters. Just like I was talking about with the air filters in my house, they have both to give you multiple levels of protection. So just a reminder again that you can't always smell it. We can do a lot to keep ourselves safe. If even one of your friends has one of these air meters and you can borrow it from them, to just check on your house. Like, I think that things are pretty good, but I just want to check and make sure that things are looking good in my house and the levels are at where I think they're at. That can be a really helpful tool to making sure that you're getting the clean air that you think you're getting in your home. I can't smell a difference right now. Well, right now, actually, the air is pretty good, but most of the time I can't smell much of a difference between inside my house and outside. And it can be upwards of, 200 PM different. And so that's kind of shocking to see that sometimes. So again, not things to worry about if you haven't been doing this. Our bodies are resilient, and we mostly need to pay attention to this over the long term, and especially those of us that are living in a zone where we have fairly consistent smoke inhalation. Just getting these things worked out and doing the best that you can. But just wanted to share some of my tips for how we make that happen in our house. And so excited to have been here with you today. Hoping to bring you some more lung tips and things that you can do to help your body in the future. There are some great herbal remedies and supplements and things like that that can help just repair the lungs. And so look out for another update soon, and I'll come back and let you know about how you can help repair your lungs from any damage that's been happening. We're excited to continue getting some community clinics going and serving some first responders in the area. So if you want to reach out or you want to share this with friends, we would be happy to have you do either. We look forward to connecting with you.